Captain Emma Clark's eyes opened slowly as the cryopod hissed and released its locks. Cold mist swirled around her as she sat up, her body stiff from 3 years of frozen sleep. The research ship Endeavour hummed quietly around her, its lights dim and peaceful. Emma stretched her arms and smiled. Soon she would see her team again and continue their work studying the ancient alien ruins they had discovered. She pulled herself through the ship's corridors toward the bridge, expecting to find Dr. James Wilson examining their data, or maybe Captain Sarah Brown reviewing their flight plans. Instead, she found empty chairs and blinking warning lights on every control panel. Emma's smile faded as she reached the communication station. Dozens of red alert messages filled the screen. Her hands shook as she opened the first transmission. "This is Admiral Robert King of Earth Defense Command," a tired voice said through static. "All colonies are under attack. The hegemony forces have broken through our defenses. Mars colony is gone. New London is burning. If anyone receives this message, know that humanity fought until the end." Emma stared at the screen in shock. The hegemony was the alliance of 12 different alien species who controlled most of the galaxy. For years they had watched humanity spread to new worlds and grow stronger. They had always seemed nervous about human expansion, but Emma never thought they would actually attack. She quickly accessed more messages. Colony after colony reported the same thing. Massive alien fleets appearing without warning, destroying everything human, taking no prisoners. The messages grew shorter and more desperate as time went on, until they stopped completely. Emma checked the long-range sensors and felt her heart break. Earth showed up as nothing but scattered debris. Mars was dark and lifeless. The Alpha Centauri colonies were silent. Everywhere humans had lived there was now only empty space. She was alone. The last human being alive in the entire galaxy. Emma sat in the captain's chair and cried for an hour. She mourned for her parents back on Earth, for her sister who lived on Mars, for her team who had trusted her to keep them safe while they slept in their pods. She cried for the children who would never grow up, for the artists who would never create again, for the scientists who would never make another discovery. When her tears were done, Emma wiped her face and began to work. She accessed the ship's computer and pulled up everything they knew about the hegemony species. The bird-like Krillians with their advanced computers. The cold-blooded reptilian nexus with their perfect military strategies. The insect swarms that worked as one giant mind. The underwater Aquarians with their flowing cities. 8 more species, each believing they were superior to humanity in different ways. They had all agreed on one thing: humans were too dangerous to live. Emma studied their technologies, their cultures, their histories. She learned their languages and memorized their weaknesses. For weeks, she read every file, watched every recording, analyzed every piece of data humanity had gathered about their enemies. The aliens thought humans were dangerous because they adapted too quickly. They learned new things faster than other species. They survived in places where others would die. They found solutions to problems that seemed impossible. The hegemony was right to fear these traits. But they had made one terrible mistake. They had left one human alive. Emma walked through the ship's medical bay and found what she was looking for. Frozen genetic samples from dozens of human families. Research data from their archaeological work. Most importantly, the complete human genetic database that their mission had been sent to preserve. She was not just the last human. She was the seed from which humanity could grow again. But first she had work to do. Emma began modifying the Endeavour with technology salvaged from destroyed human colonies. She combined human engineering with alien equipment she had captured, creating something the galaxy had never seen before. Her ship became faster, stronger, and smarter than anything either humans or aliens had built alone. She practiced moving silently through space, hiding from alien sensors, appearing and disappearing like a ghost. She learned to think like each enemy species, understanding how they would react to different situations. Most importantly, she learned to think like a human who had nothing left to lose. Emma recorded a message for herself to watch whenever she felt weak or scared. "My name is Emma Clark. I am the last human in the galaxy. My species was murdered by creatures who feared our potential. They took everything from me, my family, my friends, my world, my future. But they made a mistake. They thought killing humans would solve their problem. Instead, they created a much bigger one." She paused and looked directly into the camera. "I am going to show them what one angry human can do when she has nothing left to lose. I am going to teach them that fear was the right response. I am going to make them understand that they should have tried to be our friends instead of our killers." Emma sealed the genetic samples in the ship's most protected storage area. Someday when her work was finished, she would bring her people back. She would find worlds where human children could play and grow. She would rebuild everything the aliens had destroyed. But that day was far away. First, she had 12 species to hunt. Emma Clark set course for the nearest hegemony world and began the war that would make the galaxy remember why they had feared humanity in the first place. The last human was coming for them all. 6 months had passed since Emma Clark discovered she was alone in the universe. The Endeavour no longer looked like the research ship it once was. Emma had rebuilt it using pieces from destroyed human colonies and captured alien technology. Now it moved through space like a deadly shadow, impossible to detect and harder to stop. Emma had changed too. Her hair had grown long and wild. Her eyes held a cold fire that never went out. She had modified her body with alien medical equipment, making herself stronger and faster. Most importantly, she had learned to think like her enemies while keeping her human creativity. Her first target was a Krillian mining station near where New Boston used to orbit. The Krillians looked like giant birds with brilliant feathers and sharp beaks. They were proud of their computer systems, which they claimed were impossible for other species to understand. Emma smiled as she studied their security patterns. The Krillians had never met a human computer expert. She slipped her ship close to the station during a supply delivery. While the Krillian guards checked cargo containers, Emma attached herself to the station's outer hull. She wore a stolen maintenance suit that made her look like a repair robot to their sensors. Finding an airlock took only minutes. Breaking their security codes took even less time. The Krillians had built their encryption like a beautiful song, complex and mathematical. But Emma had grown up playing chess and solving puzzles. To her, their impossible codes looked like children's games. She did not destroy the mining station. That would have been too simple. Instead, Emma reprogrammed everything. She changed the mining equipment to dig in the wrong places. She altered the shipping computers to send valuable metals to random destinations. She modified the accounting systems to charge the wrong customers impossible amounts of money. Within days, the entire Krillian economy began to collapse. Mining operations across 12 star systems started failing. Ships delivered empty containers to confused buyers. Bills for trillions of credits arrived at small family businesses. The Krillians panicked. Their perfect computer systems were destroying their civilization from within, and they could not understand why. Only then did Emma reveal herself. She uploaded a simple message to every Krillian computer network. A recording of a human child laughing, followed by an old Earth poem about lost innocence. At the bottom of the message was a single line in perfect Krillian language: "You should not have killed our children." The reptilian Nexus Empire fell next. Their species looked like giant lizards with cold yellow eyes and scales that changed color with their emotions. They controlled the largest military force in the galaxy and believed their battle strategies were flawless. Emma studied them for weeks before making her move. The reptilians were cold-blooded creatures who thought in straight lines. Their military plans were beautiful and precise, but they never expected the unexpected. Their communication systems were protected by biological locks that only responded to reptilian brain patterns. Emma solved this problem by temporarily changing her own biology. She used alien medical equipment to alter her body temperature and brain chemistry until she could fool their sensors. Walking through their most secure military base, Emma looked like just another reptilian officer to their security systems. She accessed their central command computers and began feeding them false information. She told their fleets that enemy ships were attacking from the north when the real threats came from the south. She sent rescue missions to empty space while real emergencies went ignored. She made their own ships target each other by reporting false identity codes. The result was chaos. 3 entire reptilian fleets destroyed each other while chasing ghosts that Emma had created. Their perfect military machine turned into its own worst enemy. When the reptilians finally realized what had happened, they found another message waiting for them. This time it was a human war song, sung by soldiers who had died defending Earth. The final words were translated into reptilian: "This is what you get for murdering warriors." The insect-like Zephyr swarm presented a different challenge. They shared one giant mind across billions of individual bugs. This made them impossible to trick or confuse because they all thought the same thoughts at the same time. But Emma remembered studying ant colonies as a child on Earth. She knew that insect societies depended on chemical signals to coordinate their actions. She spent 3 weeks creating a synthetic compound that smelled like swarm pheromones but carried contradictory messages. Then she released it into the air systems of their largest hive world. The results were immediate and devastating. The swarm's perfect coordination became perfect chaos as their shared mind received thousands of conflicting orders at once. Worker insects attacked soldiers. Builders tore down what they had just constructed. Pilots flew their ships into each other while trying to follow impossible navigation commands. The mighty swarm collapsed into mindless confusion within hours. Emma's message to them was a recording of human children singing together in harmony, followed by words in their clicking language. Unity without understanding is weakness. News of these attacks spread through the galaxy like wildfire. The hegemony species had never seen anything like Emma's methods. She struck without warning, vanished without a trace, and left behind destruction that seemed impossible for one person to cause. They began calling her the human ghost, the impossible survivor who turned their own strengths against them. But Emma was just getting started. She had learned each species' weakness through careful study. Now she would teach them all what it meant to face a human who had nothing left to lose except her desire for justice. 9 more species waited in the darkness, unaware that their ghost was already hunting them. The massive space fortress called Unity's Voice drifted in the empty darkness between star systems. Inside its enormous meeting hall, 12 different alien species sat around a circular table that had once symbolized their perfect alliance. Now that table felt more like a prison where scared creatures blamed each other for their failures. Emma Clark watched them argue from inside the fortress's air conditioning system. She had been hiding in the maintenance tunnels for 3 days, moving through spaces too small for most aliens to fit. Her human body was smaller and more flexible than theirs, allowing her to exist in places they never thought to guard. Commander Voss of the Aquarian Deep spoke first. His fish-like gills opened and closed rapidly, showing his fear. Our underwater cities are dying. Someone has poisoned our oceans with toxic algae that our own atmospheric processors are spreading. Our people are fleeing to the surface, but we cannot survive there for long. General Thorne of the Silicon Collective flickered like a broken light bulb. His body was made of living crystal that normally glowed with steady blue energy. Impossible. Our mineral consciousness exists in quantum isolation. No organic being should be able to affect our systems. Yet our core computing nodes are failing with errors we have never seen before. Emma almost laughed as she listened through the ventilation grate. The Aquarians were so proud of their water-based technology, but they had never considered that someone might understand their ocean chemistry better than they did. She had spent weeks studying how their cities worked, then introduced carefully designed microorganisms that turned their own life support systems into weapons against them. The Silicon Collective had been even easier to defeat. Their quantum minds were incredibly advanced, but they thought in pure logic. Emma had fed them paradoxical problems based on human philosophy, questions that had no logical answers but forced their systems to keep trying to solve them until they overheated and crashed. Princess Zara of the Void Walkers shimmered in and out of existence, her energy-based body barely visible. The ghost has found ways to disrupt our dimensional phases. Our people are trapped between realities, unable to return to normal space. Some have been lost forever in the void between dimensions. Emma smiled in her hiding place. The Void Walkers thought they were untouchable because they could exist partially outside normal space. But Emma had studied human radio astronomy and music theory, learning how different frequencies could interact with each other. She had built devices that generated precisely tuned electromagnetic fields, creating interference patterns that made it impossible for the Void Walkers to control their phasing abilities. Admiral Kane of the Star Crushers slammed his massive metal fist on the table. His species had replaced most of their organic bodies with mechanical parts, making them incredibly strong but also predictable. This is impossible. One primitive human cannot defeat our combined civilizations. Someone among us must be helping her. You accuse us of treason? Hissed Supreme Leader Rex of the Bone Collectors. His skeletal face showed no emotion, but his hollow eye sockets glowed with anger. Your mechanical minds are clearly malfunctioning if you believe such foolishness. Emma had destroyed the Star Crushers by introducing computer viruses designed specifically for their cybernetic implants. The viruses made their mechanical parts work against their organic components, causing painful conflicts between their biological and artificial systems. The Bone Collectors had fallen when Emma hacked their necromantic technology and turned their own undead servants against them. She had studied their death magic for weeks, learning that it was actually advanced nanotechnology that could be reprogrammed like any other computer system. High Priest Morpheus of the Dream Weavers spoke in a voice that sounded like wind through leaves. His species controlled others through psychic manipulation, but Emma had proven immune to their mental attacks. The human's mind is unlike anything we have encountered. She thinks in patterns that our consciousness cannot predict or control. Emma had spent years training her mind to resist mental intrusion, using meditation techniques and mental exercises developed by human psychologists. When the Dream Weavers tried to enter her thoughts, They found only carefully constructed false memories and psychological traps that turned their own powers against them. Each species around the table told similar stories. The Plasma Lords found their energy weapons turning into bombs that destroyed their own ships. The Crystal Singers discovered that their sonic attacks now shattered their own cities instead of their enemies. The Hive Queens watched their insect armies turn against each other after receiving corrupted pheromone signals. "She is using our own strengths to destroy us," whispered Elder Sage of the Time Binders. His ancient voice carried centuries of wisdom, but now it trembled with fear. "Every advantage we possess becomes a weakness in her hands." Emma nodded silently in her hiding place. That was exactly what she was doing. Each alien species had evolved to excel in their particular environment, developing incredible abilities that made them feel superior to other races. But humans had evolved differently. They had learned to survive by adapting to any situation, by studying their enemies and finding creative solutions to impossible problems. The aliens had spent millions of years perfecting their specializations. Emma had spent months learning all of their secrets and turning them into weapons. "We must unite our remaining forces," declared Commander Voss. "Pool our technologies and knowledge. Surely our combined might can defeat one human." "Unite?" General Thorne's crystal body flashed red with anger. "Look around this table. Half our civilizations are in ruins because of your incompetence." Emma watched as the great alliance that had once destroyed humanity began to tear itself apart. Fear and blame poisoned their unity. Each species accused the others of weakness or treachery. Their perfect cooperation crumbled into desperate finger-pointing and angry threats. This was Phase 3 of Emma's plan. She had not just attacked their worlds and ships. She had attacked their trust in each other and their confidence in their own abilities. Now it was time for Phase 4, showing them what happened when they truly made a human angry. The largest war fleet in galactic history gathered in the Meridian Nebula, a massive cloud of colorful gas and stardust that stretched across 3 star systems. 12,000 ships from every species in the Hegemony Alliance floated in perfect formation, their combined firepower capable of destroying entire planets. Admiral Marcus Webb of the destroyed human fleet had once said that no single ship could defeat an armada. Emma Clark was about to prove him both right and wrong at the same time. She did not bring one ship to face them. She brought 50. For months, Emma had searched the dark corners of space where human vessels drifted like metal ghosts. Colony ships that never reached their destinations. Military vessels that died fighting hopeless battles. Research ships like her own that had been forgotten in the chaos of war. Emma had found them all and brought them back to life. But these were not the same ships that had once carried human crews. Emma had rebuilt each vessel using technology stolen from every hegemony species. She combined Krillian quantum computers with reptilian energy weapons, Aquarian biosystems with silicon collective processing power, and dozens of other alien innovations. Most importantly, she had given each ship an artificial brain based on the personality patterns of dead human officers. Captain Sarah Brown of the Defiant now lived again as a computer program that thought and fought like the original. Colonel David Harper of the Marine Corps commanded a battleship through digital resurrection. Even Admiral Webb himself led a squadron from beyond the grave. The Hegemony fleet moved forward in their traditional formation, confident that their overwhelming numbers would crush any resistance. They had 12,000 ships against 50. Victory seemed certain. Then Emma's fleet appeared. The human ships moved like dancers in a deadly ballet, slipping between enemy formations with impossible grace. They struck like lightning bolts, appeared and vanished like morning mist, and coordinated their attacks with perfect timing. Emma's flagship, the Reborn Endeavor, led the assault. She had transformed her research vessel into something that combined the best technology from every species in the galaxy. Her ship could phase through dimensions like the Void Walkers, manipulate time like the Time Binders, and think faster than the most advanced silicon collective minds. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. Hegemony ships exploded in carefully planned sequences, their wreckage forming geometric patterns that spelled out words in ancient human languages. Words like justice, and remembrance, and consequence appeared written in burning metal across the battlefield. The alien commanders watched in horror as their perfect formations dissolved into chaos. Their ships fired at targets that were no longer there. Their coordination systems failed as human hackers invaded their networks. Their advanced weapons turned against their own allies as Emma's programs took control of their targeting computers. Admiral Rex of the Bone Collectors screamed orders that no one could follow. His skeletal face twisted with rage as he watched centuries of military planning become useless in minutes. "This is impossible. How can 50 ships defeat 12,000? Emma answered him directly, her voice appearing on every communication channel in the hegemony fleet. She spoke in all 12 alien languages at the same time, her words clear and terrifying. I am Emma Clark, last daughter of humanity. You destroyed my species because you feared our potential. You thought we were dangerous when we tried to be your friends. Now you will learn what we become when you make us your enemies. A Krillian battleship exploded in a shower of blue sparks, its quantum cores overloading from human-designed virus programs. 3 reptilian destroyers crashed into each other as their navigation systems received false coordinates. A Voidwalker command ship phased partially into normal space and froze there, trapped between dimensions by Emma's interference generators. Your fleets are broken, Emma continued, her voice echoing through the nebula as more ships died around her. Your worlds are defenseless. Your alliance is shattered. You united 12 species to destroy one. Now that one has returned to show you the price of genocide. The Aquarian admiral's gills fluttered in panic as his underwater assault ships imploded, their pressure systems failing from human sabotage. Please? We surrender. Call off your attack. Emma's laughter was cold as space itself. Did you accept our surrender when you burned Earth? Did you show mercy to our children when they begged for their lives? Did you spare our colonies when they offered to share their knowledge with you? More hegemony ships exploded, their deaths choreographed like a symphony of destruction. Emma had planned every detail of this battle, turning it into both a military victory and an artistic statement about human creativity. But I am not you, Emma said, her voice softening slightly. I am not a monster who kills innocents for sport. I am human, and that means I remember what mercy looks like even when rage fills my heart. The destruction stopped. Thousands of hegemony ships floated dead in space, but thousands more remained intact, their crews alive but defeated. You will report to the coordinates I am transmitting, Emma commanded. Your leaders will come alone without weapons or guards. It is time we discussed what happens next. The transmission ended, leaving the survivors of the great hegemony fleet floating in stunned silence among the wreckage of their pride. In 17 minutes, one human woman had proven that her species had been right to call themselves dangerous. But she had also proven something else, that humans could choose mercy even when they had every right to choose revenge. The real question was whether the aliens were wise enough to accept the gift she was offering them. The leaders of 12 alien species stood in the empty hangar bay of a destroyed human space station, their bodies casting long shadows under the flickering emergency lights. The station had once been home to thousands of human families, but now only ghosts and memories remained. Emma Clark waited for them in the center of the vast chamber, no longer looking entirely human. 3 years of war had changed her in ways that went beyond the scars on her skin or the alien technology grafted into her body. Her eyes burned with an inner fire that made even the bravest alien warriors step back in fear. Behind her, holographic displays showed what this place had been before the hegemony destroyed it. Children playing in the corridors. Scientists working in laboratories. Artists creating beautiful paintings and music. Families sharing meals and laughter. All of it gone forever. You destroyed us because we were dangerous, Emma said, her voice echoing in the empty space. Because we learned too quickly, adapted too fast, spread to too many worlds. You were right to fear us. But you were wrong to think we were monsters. She gestured to the holographic images, which shifted to show human art galleries, concert halls, and libraries. Music filled the air, symphonies inspired by alien homeworlds, songs written about the beauty of foreign stars, poems celebrating the diversity of galactic life. We created beauty from the things that frightened us. We wrote love songs about your different species. We painted pictures of your worlds. We dreamed of exploring the universe together as friends instead of enemies. Commander Voss of the Aquarian Deep spoke first, his fish-like gills trembling. You have the power to destroy us all now. Our fleets are broken. Our worlds are defenseless. Why are we still alive? Emma's smile was sad and tired. Because that is what makes us human. We have the ability to choose between revenge and mercy. You never understood that about us. You only saw the danger in our strength, never the gift in our compassion. She walked to a hidden wall panel and pressed her hand against it. Sections of the station began to open, revealing vast chambers filled with cryogenic storage units. Thousands upon thousands of containers glowed with soft blue light. Human genetic samples, Emma explained. Frozen embryos. Cultural archives. The complete database of everything my species ever learned or created. I could use these to rebuild humanity exactly as we were before you murdered us. General Thorn's crystal body flickered nervously. Then why have you not done so already? Because I learned something during our war, Emma replied. I learned that fear makes people do terrible things. You were afraid of us, so you tried to destroy us. I was afraid of being alone forever, so I almost destroyed you. Fear is a poison that turns friends into enemies and heroes into monsters. She turned to face them directly, and they could see tears in her eyes despite the fire that burned there. I could become the monster you always said we were. I have weapons that could sterilize your worlds in hours. I have viruses that could turn your own bodies against you. I have programs that could make your computers forget how to keep you alive. I could make the entire galaxy burn until nothing remained but empty space and my anger. The alien leaders waited in terrified silence, afraid to speak or move. Instead, I offer you a choice, Emma continued. Help me rebuild humanity as your partners, not your subjects, and we will share our gifts with you. Our ability to adapt and solve problems. Our creativity and determination. Our different ways of thinking about challenges you have never been able to solve. She stepped closer and several aliens backed away instinctively. Together we could explore wonders beyond imagination. We could solve mysteries that have puzzled the galaxy for millions of years. We could face threats from outside our galaxy that none of us could handle alone. Without humanity's perspective, without our ways of seeing problems from new angles, you will face those challenges with only the same old thinking that has limited you for centuries. Emma paused and looked out through the station's broken windows at the stars beyond. Or you can refuse. You can choose fear again. You can decide that genocide was the right answer after all. But if you make that choice, if you prove that you learned nothing from our war, then you will face whatever comes next alone. And when the universe tests you with problems that require human creativity to solve, you will remember this moment and wonder what might have been different. The silence stretched between them like a bridge that could lead to friendship or collapse into war. Princess Zara of the Void Walkers shimmered into full visibility, her energy form trembling with emotion. What you ask, it would require us to trust you. To believe that humans can forgive what we have done. Emma nodded slowly. Trust is earned, not given. It will take time for us to become friends again. Some of my people may never forgive you. Some of your people may always fear us. But the alternative is eternal war, and I have seen enough death to last 1,000 lifetimes. Commander Voss spoke again, his voice barely a whisper. If we agree, if we help you bring back humanity, what guarantee do we have that your people will not seek revenge? Emma's smile became warmer, more hopeful. You have my word. And you have something else. The knowledge that humans choose mercy when mercy is possible. We could have destroyed you already, but we chose to offer you friendship instead. She extended her hand toward them in the ancient human gesture of peace. Help me bring them home, and together we will build a galaxy worth living in.